Howdy healers, welcome to Zero to KSM Hero, a series where I'll be attempting the Keystone Master Challenge in patch 9.1.5 on a brand new healer. The rules are simple. For the Alliance, least favored healer, least popular covenant, only moderate help from main character allowed, no linking Raider IO to main character, hugging only, and finally the challenge must be finished before posting the first video to avoid any external help or assistance, and of course for the sake of integrity. Hello everyone, welcome in again. In today's episode we're going to have a bit of a mix between some live commentary and some post-production commentary, so hopefully you'll be able to tell the difference between the two, but if not, that's probably okay too. Let's just jump right on in. Why did I fly? I have the wormhole generator. Am I stupid? Let me be honest, I've never really done engineering since Pandas. And even in Pandas, it was like this rush to get Jeeves. That was the big thing. Nothing else mattered. Just having a repair that you could use inside of a dungeon or raid that didn't allow mounting. Specifically, Mogushan Palace, I believe. So, I haven't really done engineering seriously since then. One of these days I'll remember. We'll see. Alright, they really want to be successful here. I'll take it. My bag's full of shit. I never sold stuff.
I have many lucky doos you like.
Let's go. Damn, his mount.
Has finally sent someone to kill me. You're welcome to try. The horrors within these halls will make quick work of you. Stradamus' plague will soon be mine.
Oh, I forgot to turn that shit off. What the fuck? Like, nobody... Who even pulled? So, having rewatched this about 50 times, it looks like the tank's Avenger shield is what pulled the Plague Rock. So, it must have bounced off of the Flesh Giant and hit the Plague Rock as well, because they were pretty close by the time the tank used it. So, don't pull extra coming from the person who pulled extra and just didn't realize it was them. Stay classy, dude. Oh, Hunter's over there typing or something. Oh, great. So, like, this tank, who has seen this pool not work twice already, decides to go ahead and do it again after already saying the DPS is low. So, like, of course it's gonna fail. Well, that's somebody else to add to the fucking list of baddies. I love like wasting food and stuff. Spires 14. Yeah, I'd rather do a Theater of Pain, the other side, or Plaguefall. Well, it doesn't look like there's a Plaguefall. My least favorite fucking dungeon. A 13. Yeah, you know, if they'll take me. There we go. About to find out if it's good. I don't know. No? Oh, so that must have been a failed key. That's always a positive experience. Alright, let's do this. I forgot to get rid of that horrible weak aura. Time to eat. Alright, so far so good. Alright, let's do it. Let's do it to it. I'll move my keyboard back a little bit.
Beware. You approach a powerful servant of the jailer.
It's too far away. I need to get closer.
Take the beast's power. You will need it for the dangers ahead.
It would be cool if that didn't happen. Don't heal so much. I mean, if you're panicking, I guess I get it, but... Alright, so this pull is a little bit of a doozy, and I was probably too stressed to really talk about it while I was actively playing it. But you kind of want to focus the captain down here, and then, when possible, maybe CC some of the other mobs. So I don't mean like hard CC them for a good length of time, but like get the Arbalest to stop shooting for a second, or leg sweep to buy everybody another second of time. It's just little things like that can go a long way, but your main focus should be the captain. And I should have probably saved Touch of Death here to like finish him off quickly. I believe he has like a damage reduction aura around him or something that kind of protects the other mobs. So you really want to make sure that you're focusing him down ASAP. Still, even doing that, this pull can be very healing intensive, so always be on your toes here. I never really have a whole lot to say about this boss unless it goes really poorly, but generally speaking, Zav is one of the easier bosses in this dungeon, I think. Like, yeah, if people don't focus the banner, it sucks, but as a monk, you do have Touch of Death, so if you and one other person are focusing, it's not too hard to get it down. And then if your group has even like the barest minimum respect for mechanics, like they'll at least move out of the way of the big green stuff on the floor. It's pretty self-explanatory. I I've never really had too many, I don't know, like too many occasions where this boss was like the worst experience ever. And here I should definitely be over there with the banner trying to kill it. Nowadays, I wouldn't be afraid of fighting up there in melee. Nothing happens in melee that I can't really stand in. Just hot up the tank and go to town on the banner. That's what I do now. But yeah, this boss down, like, he went down pretty fast. I guess, like, no DPS problem in this group. This is definitely a situation where we could just focus on the boss. Frostmage looks like he's kind of cleaving, so... Gotta get my orbs, that's important. Okay, things are going well. I probably should have just focused on the boss anyway. But you get nervous, you know? Oh, jeez. Like, I think we've all seen what happens when the boss, or when the mini-boss is pulled up here. It usually just results in, like, disaster, to be honest, and somebody tends to fall, which means you have to leave the instance, summon them, bring them back. The key's dead by that point. So, like, I don't really like it when I see them bring the mini-boss up here. Luckily, the season's over now, so it doesn't happen anymore, but it was a bit annoying. Like, you should probably pull the Soulstorm guy first, and then the mini-boss, just fight him down there, where there's lots of room to point the Ice Lance at, wherever. Okay, this is the hard one. I will pop Yulon, I think. Go, 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 go. So again, we have like a very healing intensive portion of the dungeon. Definitely use a cooldown. In this case, I used Yulon, but I didn't really use it very well. Like I should have put Enveloping Mist on more than one person throughout the course of having Yulon up. That since she casts her breath on people that have enveloping. But needless to say, the point is that at this spot in the dungeon, if you are not like an AoE god and you don't have like flash concentration with 5 stacks ready to start slap and heal on everybody in triage format, you need to use the cooldown here. And I'm definitely at the point in this series where I figured out that I need to do that, which is great. Didn't think that was gonna work. I'm starting, my like heart is pounding from that stupid group of mobs. I hate them so much. Oh? I don't even know what this guy does. Oh, don't stand in some stuff. That's not so bad. Oh, he does that. That's horrifying. I see why people don't go this route now. Probably because people pull this stuff on the side on accident in their panic. Oh, hey, our hunter's over there. This one is not... It wasn't that scary, though. I wonder if the other route, has more percentage or something. I'm in a pod. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Release me. Ugh, that was like 100% my bad. I should have focused more on healing myself. My tank has plenty of sustain and I have like 0. So, lesson learned. What does this soul corruption shit do anyway? Just shatter damage. Pallies are gods. Alright, excellent. I'm dead. As a door now. I'm gonna try to sit up here and get my food buff again. So basically, once again, we have run into a DPS in a plus 13 that doesn't know the basic mechanic of this fight, which is to get your soul back. So it's not just that they didn't stand in the grasping hands to get it back, because that is what you should do. You should stand in the hands. But that they didn't even try to get their soul back, like, at all. So they got mind controlled. Which is great, because, like, I can't kill them or whatever. So they get, like, unmind controlled, and the first thing they do is just not know the mechanic again. If I was less salty, maybe I could have just explained it in, the party chat, like, stand in the grasping hands to get your soul back, or get your soul back, or I think I could even put a raid marker over their soul. But this time I didn't bother to heal them. Like, that's a waste of my mana. But while I'm here, I might as well say, too, that, like, this hunter did fine on Zav, so it just makes me think that, like, there are just some mechanics in this game that are not intuitive. Like, I'll rip your soul from your body is, like, an easy line to tell you that it's happening, but it doesn't necessarily tell you, like, what to do, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be intuitive to stand in the bad stuff on the ground. And you can see the other guy, the other DPS that gets it, it stood behind the stuff. And that's, I think, what I tell them to do, to stand behind it. But it's not just, it's better to stand in it, because it instant gives you back. You don't have to click it or anything. But anyway, it's one of those things where I am just in disbelief that in a plus 13 someone doesn't know the basic mechanics of the fight. And you can be like, all right, well, they're not really intuitive. No, they're not. But, like, you did the fight, you got mind controlled, and you died, like, more than once. I don't know. Maybe fucking Google it. Mage claims lag and dies on Gorechop. No big deal, though. We get it down. And then it's to the final fight. So, Mordretha is mostly a fight that requires you to not stand in bad stuff. We had a bad time of that the first try, and we wiped on the boss. Of course, we had a dead rogue, and our mage had DC'd as we came up, so when they logged back in, they weren't able to come up and join the fight. So, down to DPS, it was a mess, and we should have just wiped it immediately and started over anyway, but, we dragged it out, because that's the kind of people we are. So we got in, we regrouped, we took the boss down. And then in typical us fashion, we were like, you know what would be cool if we queued up for another dungeon and it was, like, conveniently in the same location. So we ended up signing up for a 14 Plaguefall, obviously in the hopes of timing it and erasing this failure. But how do you think that's gonna go? So the first pull wasn't great in terms of, like, my mana management, or, like, the amount of damage that was being taken by the tank, or the amount of healing the tank was doing. So it was a bit of a struggle mana-wise up to the first boss. But even then, like, the first boss took a while to go down, like, maybe an abnormally long amount of time due to slightly low DPS, but, I mean, it wasn't the worst. Like, it wasn't painful or anything. So we fight Sagadan, the Executioner, and then we head over to our favorite place, the Altars of Agony, where our tank gets blasted off the cliff. And in much the same fashion as me, he is unable to die, so we have to go summon him. I don't want to say that this means that the key is definitely bricked. However, with this group experiencing what I have already experienced with them, I'm just gonna say that, like, yeah, I knew the key was bricked at this point. So we do try to, like, go to completion, because I guess why not? But there is a wipe at one point, and the tank just leaves. So we don't even get to complete. At the time, this was probably a little bit frustrating for me, but looking back at it, I was like, yeah, I should have just left when the tank got stuck anyway. Like, should have just accepted that the key needed to be reset and reran, and then either done it with the group or been like, or like whispered the leader and been like, you need to get better people for the group next time. Either way, it all worked out because I applied to groups for actually a pretty short amount of time, and I end up getting invited to a plus 15 out of nowhere. Alright, so we start off with everything seeming like pretty good because, like, first of all, they put down the feast, which is awesome. Nobody in this group is like crazy high IO either. So like nobody's Keystone Master except like maybe the tank. I think I was like looking at the other DPS before we pulled and most of them were like 1800 or so. Yeah, this DK is like 1600, so like we all got brought along for the ride here. We got a big first pull going on, so we want to like stay on top of things. And finally, for like the first time in my life, I, you know, use cooldowns when appropriate, which means I didn't hold on to them for the whole damn dungeon. But I'm trying really hard to play well because this is my first 15, and I want to make sure that like nobody dies, or at least we have as few deaths as possible. And, like, honestly, that first pull felt like a joke compared to how they usually feel. Like, see, my mana isn't even that low, even though I was, like, blasting it. I'm still gonna sit because, you know, why wouldn't I? Melee's in a lot of danger on these pulls because of all the stupid traps on the floor, and I'll be honest with you, most of your pug melees are gonna end up stepping in something, so you should be prepared to heal them. Like, the warrior was doing great, and then he stepped in something and took more avoidable damage than the others, so it'd be like that, you know? It looks like he even died. The nature of the beast. That was a little out of my control, though. Something else I learned about this dungeon is, like, the closer that you stand to the mobs, like, the more you do see the abilities that people are getting hit by. At a distance, it just looks like they're... You can't really tell what they're standing in, just that they've stood in something. It's still not that bad. Just cleaning up this pool here. Tank puts a marker down to let us know, like, that he's gonna come back, but I don't even notice it. And I wish I had because I could have drank, but I ended up entering combat. I'm trying to get some hots out for everyone. I end up using IQD to try to get back some mana. Yeah, it doesn't give me much, but in a pinch it's still, like, way better than nothing. And it won't put your, like, potions on cooldown either, which is nice. Alright, this is where, like, we're gonna die because I don't have anything for this. And this guy, like... Alright, so I have Bubble, which I use. I get feared because I'm obviously not stacked on anybody like I should be. Alright, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. I do more healing to myself and the tank helps, which is great. That's literally me on fumes.
Claim your power, Maw Walkers.
You say, like, I should have just drank or whatever, but, you know, I am. And I don't drink all the way to full either. It should be better now that I've got the chalice. Tank took it to heart too. Like he read that and was like, even though I had got to full, but like he probably didn't realize. He probably saw it a second too late and was like, "Oh, I better ready check just to be safe." Some people get mad about it, like, just go. I know my own mana, but like, who gives a shit, man? At least they pay attention. It's better than us wiping because I don't have anything. I don't know why I used Yulon here. It might have been a mistake. I should have probably threw a quick enveloping on the tank before Yulon disappeared, but... So of all these people in the party, the one in the most danger is probably going to be the hunter, because the only actual defensive they have is Turtle, and I don't know how anyone else feels about Turtle, but I hate it. Like, the concept is cool, but it's not fun to use. It just buys you time. It doesn't actually, like... Because you can't attack while you have it up. It doesn't help you much. This is gonna be dangerous. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna click ready when I'm like 50% maybe. Yeah. Alright, and we have hero, so this boss should be like a joke. You do get an interrupt, that's great. People try to stack a little bit for that, that's also great. Look, beggars can't be choosers. I'll take any mechanics that people try to do. Alright, the Death Knight AMC up there, that's awesome. Alright, Hunter turtled that, which is great. Again, rushing to catch up, sitting to drink immediately. It sounds dumb, but my god. Remember, again, Hunter doesn't really have any cooldowns and she already turtled, so there's, like, she's got nothing. She did use her exhilaration, which is great. It's definitely helpful. Tanks jumping in to heal, that's very helpful as well. Look at him, he even out-healed me there. Alright, it's kind of cool that he's pulling the boss back in here. I think that's the first time, or boss, I mean the little sentinel guy. I think it's the first time that I've seen somebody do that in here. Usually we fight it out in the hallway. However, there is the mini boss out there, and people tend to like kind of run off to the side to avoid the things on the floor, and then they might pull the mini boss, and you really don't want to have the mini boss pulled. That's like a hassle. Alright, so we will be killing the mini boss here. Sometimes people do skip Sagadon. I mean, he's especially skippable in here, but... Also, I should really be getting Mystic Touch up pretty much every opportunity in here, because I have physical DPS out the wazoo. Hunter used Exhilaration again, which is awesome. That means that they're paying attention to their own health, which is something you might notice like a lot of DPS don't do. Like, yikes. But anyway, paying attention to your DPS health is great as a DPS. Then you kind of know if somebody else is in danger. It's especially important if you're playing like a Ret Paladin and you have like Selfless Healer talent, or the other one that makes Lay on Hands like a really short cooldown if you use it on somebody with like no health or whatever the hell that ability is. I don't remember. But like I enjoy Red Paladin, I think it's fun. But like having that like responsibility to heal, to help heal other people. Alright, I end up silenced. An unfortunate reality. This group is pretty decent. Like, we don't have a ton of interrupts, but we got like a pretty good bunch of interrupts from these guys, all things considered. These Grand Overseers are like really annoying. And the worst part here is that like, I mean, obviously the worst part's that I got silenced, but that it can take a lot out of you. Most important thing here, of course, is to remember to dispel, and to dispel as often as possible, which, because I have diffuse magic, it lets me get an extra one off on myself that other healers don't usually get, except priests that have mass dispel. So remember, obviously, if you're a priest over here, that pull, especially that pull, you should try to mass dispel that. Couldn't really sit and drink because I couldn't really leave that on one of these DPS. They do use AMZ to try and mitigate the damage, which is really great, but that doesn't mean that it would work. Diffuse magic is back up off cooldown, so I should probably use it if I get a debuff again. But it doesn't look like I'm going to. Alright, so here's the reality of this stupid guy. It's just so much easier for me, like the tornadoes on the platforms in Theater of Pain. It's just so much easier for me to be standing in in melee here to see where these are. Also, these guys do a lot of damage, so try to obliterate quickly. If you're a class like a druid or whatever, you can root them so that they can't run away. Alright. We're getting it done. Also, even though I'm tracking Grievous, like, the only reason I'm really tracking it is because I have this, like, fear. I don't know if it's a fear, but, like, the stacks get bigger, like, as you go, right? So, looking at the tank there with the 3 stacks of it, it was like, okay, but I need to know that he has 3 stacks so that I know to, like, heal him and make sure that those stacks go away. It's not that, like, Grievous itself is that bad, it's the stacking component of it that's really bad. Ooh. I should be revivaling here. And the thing about revival, it's like I even put it on like a friendly cooldown button to remember, but alright, tank is making sure, and I select ready before I'm actually ready, but he's gonna pull around the corner anyway, so I'm gonna have an extra like 4 seconds to drink that I wouldn't have otherwise. So we'll take it. Ouch. There's a lot of damage. Luckily, Cocoon's back off cooldown, so you know how it is. We may need it. If we do, we have it. So I've been playing with these weak auras for a while, a couple of years, I think, and adding to them and things like that. They're still not like ready for public consumption because like they're a mess in the code, but I don't know if I'm even going to keep them. So I actually watched Growl's like Waffle Cat Weekly, I think, and he moved to like a really simple weak aura. And something that he did in his KSM video was that he just used like the default bars. Like, well, not the default bars. He put the bars from Domino's or LVY or whatever he uses. He put those in like in pretended that they were like weak auras. And honestly, I think that that's what I should do too because it just makes the most sense. I find myself not looking at my weak auras nearly as much as I thought I would. Like my eyes still kind of go down to the Domino's bars, and that's bad. I mean, it's partly on me for being a shit player, but can I blame my disabilities for it maybe? I guess it's possible, but yeah, like I tend to just not be paying that much attention to my weak auras. Like, there's a couple of abilities on there that I look at a lot, and then the rest, it's like I just ignore. So, in the case of this weak aura, I mostly look at Manatee, Renewing Mist, and Detox, and everything else on there, except, oh, and maybe Cocoon, but everything else on there I just ignore. Anyway, that was a great save by our tank there. His healing is like literally keeping this group from falling apart. Paladins are so powerful. Like, do they even know? Anyway, so it's kind of like I'm almost at a place where I could have just put my like bars right there in the middle instead. Like they look cute. I like how my weak auras look. They're super cute and fun, but I might as well just put bars there. And then I have the added bonus of, I don't know, if I have a cat on my lap or something, or I'm trying to eat a sandwich, I could still, like, click the abilities if I have to. Also, I read this, like, wild hack on the what was it? Oh, the WoW subreddit where a couple of people were saying that they have a mouse, like they have a mouse with just a few side buttons, and that they use those side buttons for shift and control modifiers. And I was like, oh my god. I have a lot of mouse buttons, and I actually bind them to the F keys, and then I bind my abilities to F, so I press my mouse buttons to press the F keys, right? And it works really good. It's just like my hands are crippled and I can only reach so many keys. Um so like that would be a great way to get a ton of extra keybinds without having to bust your ass. So it's something I've been thinking about. I have the 12 button MMO mouse right now and I can comfortably reach 4 of my 12 keys. And if I'm being like super generous, we'll say maybe 6 of them are actually usable. Any of the middle buttons are worthless to me. Like, I just don't have enough feeling in my hands to, like, even know if I'm on the right button. If I'm in the middle, I tend to push all 3 of them or, like, 5 buttons at once, which is even worse. So, I don't know. It's just something I've been toying with. I hate changing my UI, though, because I'm like, it almost, like, what I tend to want to do is, like, make a whole new character and then like fiddle around on them with the new UI, like level to the cap or whatever with it, just to test it out, see if I like it. And then I'm not like beholden to the UI on all of my alts, because if I change anything on like Voodoo, like all of my guys are using this profile, so anyway. I'll be real with you right there. That was like probably the easiest that boss had ever been for me, and it felt really good. Like it was perfectly healable and everybody didn't die and nobody, I mean, look at the avoidable damage taken. Like everybody but me took some, but like it was healable. Felt great. So we move on through the dungeon. This boss is pretty tough for me, so we'll see how it goes. Um, but hopefully it's a walk in the park, like the last one. Anyway, things I've been thinking about. I enjoyed the Dragonflight announcement. I almost did a video on it and my thoughts on like the new stuff, but I even had a script written. Wrote most of it at work, but in the end I was like, I don't think enough people would care about my thoughts on it, so I'll wait until they actually come up with like probably the talent trees, because like my biggest thing I care about are the talent trees. I'm very excited for that. So when they and like because they I think it was Ian announced that he wanted to let us get a look at the talent trees like well before it even went into alpha. So I cannot wait to take a look at the trees. And I'll probably do a video when they come out with those just so I can talk about them a little bit. I'm no theory crafter or anything, obviously. I'm just like your average shitty player, but you know. What else have I been up to? Let's see. Oh, I've been doing Raid Finder this patch, which I normally don't do because I hate Raid Finder. By which I mean raids have gotten more and more complicated, I guess, and it gets harder and harder for me to like go in there and not feel like I'm dragging the group down, because it's very hard for me to understand like how things work without getting to experience it, but I don't like to be the problem in the group. So I went into Raid Finder and honestly the fights are really fun. So I'm kind of seeing where people are like, "Damn, the raids in WoW are really good." Like, "All right, I never felt that way too much, but yeah. Yeah, I agree. Sepulcher of the first ones is like awesome. Like most of the fights in there are really cool. So, all right, so here we go. We got the boss. We're going to do our best. Also, it's really cool to think that like because this is the beginning of the end here. My first plus 15. That means we're getting close to the end. That pretty soon the series is going to wrap up. So, like, this boss is just the beginning of the end. So, first things first, don't move unless you have to. Alright. I fucked up a little bit, but I'm going to try to battle res. Apparently it didn't work or something. Or no, it did work. Okay, they just waited to accept it. I really wish they would have waited till after the thing. After that cast went off. But it's alright. So, here's the concern. We have a warrior to worry about. So what I should be doing is, like, bubbling myself, maybe. Or bubbling the warrior, just so that I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about them as much, but I didn't. Still pulled through somehow. Collecting my orb, because if I don't, might regret it. This is where I don't want to forget also that I have, like, soul shape. So essence font out. This would be I've already revivaled, so I can't do it again. I did bubble. I potted because I thought I was gonna roll out, but I don't think I had a roll charge. Or I thought I had enough time to run and I didn't. Again, the tank saves the day with his healing. Boss dies, and the only person that died on the fight was the hunter, who doesn't have a defensive except for turtle, so that was awesome. Like, I'm feeling good about this group. Alright, we have less than 15 minutes to clear the hall and the boss, but I think we can do it. I mean, I know we can do it because, like, we do it. This is a timed dungeon. Spoiler alert. None of this trash is too bad. I should have just stood a little closer to get Mystic Touch up on everybody, but... silenced. This tank is seriously, like, carrying me. Actually, he's carrying us all with that DPS. Damn. And also, this is a plus 15, and he's not even skipping this. I respect it, okay? This is a hard pull, but let me be real with you. Sometimes skipping is worse. So, like, the DPS... like, we know that the DPS here is decent. So, I mean... our poor DK is suffering right now, but... in general, like... the DPS in this group is pretty good, so... we know we can kill it. So what if it takes 2 minutes? If we wipe trying to skip it, it's going to take a lot more than 2 minutes. Alright, so one thing I want to be wary of right here is that when these guys die, I'm going to need to drink, but I don't want to cross the bridge. We got the tank helping out with healing. I appreciate it. I respect it. Alright, I'm trying to prepare myself to start drinking. But I also don't want the tank to, like, get blasted with Grievous. Yeah, so... away we go. Giving the tank a little tiger's lust there. I mostly did that just to help him, like, get into the mobs and get hits on them before everybody else got there. Not that the warrior can't, like, heroic leap into the group, but he probably won't do it if he values his life in a 15. But I just want to help him, like, especially with aggro. I don't know why I used Gift of the Naru there. I'm not even taking any damage. Alright, so we're moving along at a clip here. It's probably a waste of Touch of Death, but what can you do? Alright, that AMZ is a good one. And I'm gonna remember that this guy is good, that he's using AMZ. I'm gonna remember that because I actually run into him again very soon. But so hey DPS, especially if you're Alliance DPS, you will be seen multiple times in groups. It definitely helps if you use stuff, because if I see you applying to my group later and all I think when I see your name is, hey, that guy used AMZ a lot and helped out the party, I'm gonna be like 10 million times more likely to invite you. Alright, so I had like 1 second to sit and drink. And because I took the eat faster power, it just basically made a huge difference there in terms of like being able to get my mana back to full in the middle of the hallway. Whether or not that's possible is always like up to chance. Well, it's not entirely up to chance. It depends on how fast your tank is moving and how close you are when other people get in combat and stuff, but it's been working out so far. In 9.2 news, I did do a +10 the other day for the first time. I know I'm like way behind on these types of things, but I've been exploring and doing old stuff and gathering transmogs and other, you know, casual things, since I don't think I need to remind anybody here, but I'm a casual. I don't raid, I don't do Mythic Plus normally. Like, this challenge is like a new thing that I decided to try and like prove to myself that it was something I could do, so it's not something that I go out of my way to do a lot. I do enjoy Mythic Plus though. I've been doing a lot of low keys, and because I enjoy them and I like healing and DPSing low keys. So I did my first +10 on a balanced druid. I'm actually just trying to get gear for the 4-piece for her. I got lucky and got 2 of them out of raid, but I need the other 2. So I think I have the Cosmic Flux for it. I just need gear that doesn't suck. Alright, so I got stuck in combat right here, so I can't drink, but that's okay. Anyway, the new affix is interesting. I don't know. As a DPS, I don't like the pressure being on me to choose what we get. And the group I was in, like, nobody chose. I mean, it was my key, so I guess I should have chose, but I didn't. So we just got whatever the fuck got killed, and it was fine. But I don't know. I'm gonna do some more. We'll see how they go. It would be weird if I got Keystone Master Season 3 on my Balance Druid, because I'm not even great at balance. That said, I was in the Raid Finder with people way more geared than me, like, and I think it was a +9 key that had somebody more geared than me, and I still out DPS'd them by a lot. It was cringy. Ooh, dodged. I'm very rarely able to actually dodge the piercing blur, so, or, sorry, whatever the thing is that she does and rushes at you. That poor hunter, man. Wicked Rush, yeah. I'm very rarely able to dodge Wicked Rush. And it's really hard when you have those blurs going out at the same time, because there's like a very small space you can run in. Some people say you can just run back a little bit, but I don't know. It's been mixed results for me. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. Anyway, going back to my former statement that I've made many times on this channel, don't hold your cooldowns. I'm doing really well of just using them as I think I need them. I missed one thing and then stood in something else, so. It's because I'm dumb, not because the mechanic is hard. Alright, Draenei ability for the win, I guess. There we go. We got our first plus 15. Granted, it's only a plus 1, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. Somebody took a chance on us and basically carried us. It's pretty awesome. So I got an offhand here. Which is cool. It's like, neat. Oh, and I got a ring. It's very cool and nice of people. Definitely an upgrade. And we hearth away. So that was our first plus 15 completed in time. And honestly, we got pretty lucky getting invited to it. I think the tank just kind of knew that he could carry some vaguely under IO people. I don't know. There is the idea that if you invite people that need the key for Keystone Master, that they're like way more likely to go out of their way to perform well because they really want the achievement now and they can see it in front of them. So like that's always an option, and maybe that's why the tank invited everybody in the group, because we all needed it. But it worked out really well. So let's move on to bingo cards and see if we got anything there. And honestly, it looks like we don't get anything for painful bingo or for wholesome. And to be perfectly honest with you, I want to say that like even though some of the dungeons we did were painful, like they weren't crossing off anything new. So there's that. And then wholesome, we've only got a couple more to cross off at all, so we're doing pretty good, I think. So that's it for this episode, everyone. Until next time, take care of yourselves and happy healing.